What's up everybody, another beautiful day in the Dragonflight, and today I'll be going over the Elementalist build for M+ in 10.1. Talents, how they work and how to play it. Maximize the frost shock slaps and burst down prio targets. Now if you're a returning player, there's been a lot of updates to our talents and abilities going into 10.1. I have videos out covering all our changes, how they impact us, as well as how our new tier set bonus works. It slaps, so I recommend checking those out if you want to know more about that. I also have other build guides for M+ and raids to help y'all enhance your gameplay. Now with that out of the way, let's go over the build. So we get all the Lava Lash talents, Molten Assault so that we can spread and refresh Flame Shock with Lava Lash. Also, it reduces its cooldown. Then we have Hot Hand. When it procs, it reduces Lava Lash cooldown by 75% and it increases its damage by 40% for 8 seconds, allowing us to smash out empowered Lava Lashes every other global-ish. Then we have Ashen Catalyst. Each time your Flame Shock dot ticks, it increases your next Lava Lash damage by 12% and reduces its cooldown by 0.5 seconds. And the damage increase stacks up to 8 times. And this is partially where we get some of our funnel or prio damage, if you will, from having Flame Shock up on multiple targets in a pack and then Lava Lashing a priority target or boss, consuming those damage increases on a single target for some very satisfying slapping. Lashing Flame. Lava Lash increases the damage of Flame Shock on its target by 100% for 20 seconds. Due to this talent, when there are multiple targets up in a pack and you don't want to or need to funnel damage into a single target, you instead swap target on each Lava Lash. This will debuff them, taking 100% more Flame Shock damage, but in turn you will consume Ashen Catalyst stacks every time on different targets, so no funnel. However, Flame Shock is a big part of our sustained damage on AoE, so need more AoE, tab the target with Lava Lash. Need more priority damage? Don't tab target. Brain big? We then get improved Raging and Overflowing Maelstrom, increasing our Maelstrom spender damage, and we can have and spend up to 10 stacks of Maelstrom rather than 5. So our spender slaps twice as hard and gives us some more wiggle room in our rotation, but mostly because it slaps harder. Ice Strikes, Hailstorm, and Swirling Maelstrom, the Holy Trinity. So Ice Strike increases your next Frost Shock damage by 100% and Hailstorm increases your next Frost Shock damage by 15% per Maelstrom spent. So spend 10 Maelstrom, Frost Shock does 150% more damage. Now on top of this, Hailstorm also increases targets hit by Frost Shock by up to 5, for a total of 6 targets. Combined with Swirling Maelstrom, Ice Strike generates 1 Maelstrom and consuming 2+ Hailstorm stacks on a Frost Shock generates 1 Maelstrom as well. This helps a lot with overall Maelstrom generation on single target mainly, which is sorely needed after losing tier 29. Now this combo is pretty insane for AoE. A big portion of our AoE and cleave damage is from these Frost Shock slaps, as anytime you spend Maelstrom, you'll be able to fire off an empowered Frost Shock, and every other Frost Shock will be Omega Pepega buffed by Ice Strikes as well, turning it into somewhat of a nuke on up to 6 targets. But what if I pull 7? Huh? Then we have Wind Fury Totem. It buffs us as well as our party, and it will make all your melee pals love you, as they're under the assumption that it will increase their damage tenfold. Get melee. We of course get Crash Lightning and Crashing Storms. Crash Lightning generates an absurd amount of Maelstrom on AoE. You have a chance to proc Wind Fury on any target hit by this, as well as the AoE portion of it that triggers whenever you Storm, Ice Strike, or Lava Lash. All of this generates a ton of Maelstrom on AoE. Then we have Crashing Storm. It increases crash damage, but more importantly it makes Chain Lightning arc to 2 additional targets, which is something we really want on AoE. Otherwise, Chain Lightning is a bit meh. Sundering activates our new tier bonus from Aberrus, tier 30. 24% mastery, 20% physical and fire damage for 15 seconds, and 2 Chain Lightnings that deal 100% increased damage and refunds 50% of Maelstrom spent. I mean, we already had Burst before, but with this, Sundering becomes a big pump cooldown. And it does change our rotation a bit once you get it, as we want to squeeze in those empowered Chain Lightnings in our single target rotation. We then get Elemental Weapons, 5% Fire, Frost, and Nature damage per weapon imbue, meaning Flame Tongue and Wind Fury. And this is new for this patch. If you're a returning Elementalist Enhancement Shaman, you cannot play without the Wind Fury weapon talent anymore, as you lose 5% elemental damage by doing so. We then get Feral Spirits with Witch Doctor's Ancestry and Elemental Spirits. And Witch Doctor's Ancestry increases our Maelstrom generation, but more importantly, Maelstrom generated reduces Feral Spirit Spirit cooldown by 2 seconds per Maelstrom spent, giving us a much higher uptime on Wolfies, especially on AoE, and this works on the refunds we get from our new tier bonus, as well as any Maelstrom we generate from things like Primordial Wave. So the Maelstrom refunded and generated reduces Wolfie cooldown. Elemental Spirits, each Wolf increases either Frost, Fire, or Nature damage by 20%, hence the Elementalist part. Regardless of Wolf type, we always get value from this, either by further buffing Frost Shock slaps, Chain Lightning, and or Flame Shock and Lava Lash damage. And lastly, Primordial Wave, with Primal Maelstrom and Splintered Element. The actual unholy trinity. So Primordial Wave, it applies Flame Shock on your target and empowers your next Lightning Bolt to deal 150% increased damage and hit all targets with Flame Shock up, so up to 6 targets, turning Lightning Bolt into an actual nuke. And due to Primal Maelstrom, you get 10 Maelstrom when you press Primordial Wave, which, like I said, also reduces Wolfie cooldown. And you also get 10% haste per target hit by Lightning Bolt from this due to Splintered Elements. And here's where the fun comes in. Slapping away empowered Lightning Bolts on 6 targets and then gaining 60% haste for 12 seconds. For your information, Bloodlust is 30%. And all of this haste reduces our rotational ability cooldowns by a ton. We generate a ton of Maelstrom and overall our damage shoots through the roof. Too bad we can only do it every 45 seconds. Oh, and Sundering is on a 40-sec cooldown, so you can always combine our new Forset with Primordial Wave for, you know, even more insane bursty burst. And this is also a great tool to utilize when you need to nuke down priority targets, like those lovely enforcers in Freehold during bolstering that for sure haven't insta-killed my groups 18 times when they cast their RAR. Point being, you can funnel all that haste from Primordial Wave into slapping a priority target. You will be generating a ton of extra Maelstrom on AoE due to Crash Lightning and all that haste, as well as a ton of extra Lava Lash damage due to Ashen Catalyst, allowing you to put the heart on one poor mob. And while you're doing that, you'll still be Frost Shock slapping 5 other targets for some juicy cleave and AoE, and bouncing Chain Lightnings. Now with that out of the way, let's go over the rotation prio and break it down a bit. Big brain time. Now bear with me. So you want to cast Feral Spirit on cooldown and always before Primordial Wave, so you don't waste the cooldown reduction you get from the 10 Maelstrom it generates. Cast Lava Lash if Flame Shock is active on your target to spread it if you're not at 6 Flame Shock targets yet, which is the cap. Cast Primordial Wave, you can use it on a target without Flame Shock if you don't have 6 Flame Shock targets. Then you want a Sundering to activate the tier 32 piece bonus, 24% mastery. Lightning Bolt if you have 10 Maelstrom, the Primordial Wave buff, and as many targets as possible afflicted by Flame Shock. More targets, more haste gained. Chain Lightning if at 10 stacks of Maelstrom weapon, which will be your primary spender on anything above 1 target. Wind Fury Totem if it's not currently active. Crash Lightning if the buff is not active. We mainly just want to maintain Crash Lightning buff, then use Crash Lightning as a filler if there's little else to press. Ice Strike, Frost Shock with Hailstorm stacks up for those insane Frost Shock slaps. Lava Lash, cycling between targets to apply Lashing Flame unless you need to funnel damage into a priority mob or boss. Crash Lightning, Storm Strike, ideally with the Crash Lightning buff active. Chain Lightning at 5 or more Maelstrom. Refresh Wind Fury Totem, and if nothing else, press Flame Shock. What could be simpler? Now, as intimidating or confusing as this might sound, it really is just a prio list. If you have everything available, you press Feral Spirit. If that's already on cooldown, then you Lava Lash to spread Flame Shock. If that's already done, then you etc, etc, etc. And more often than not on AoE, you're kinda just cycling between Lava Lash, Ice Strike, and Crash Lightning, spending Maelstrom and Chain Lightning, and following it up with a huge Frost Shock. Slap. Since spending Maelstrom gives you Hailstorm stacks, increases amount of targets hit, and damage done by Frost Shock. And whenever Hot Hand procs, you're kinda weaving it in every other global. Lava Lash, Chain Lightning, Lava Lash, Frosty Shock, Lava Lash, etc. So going into a pack, an opener would be pop Wolfies to get it on cooldown, Primordial Wave one mob, and then Flame Shock a different mob, and then you Lava Lash that one. Doing so will net you a grand total of 6 Flame Shock targets, if there are that many in the pack. Sadly, if there's only 5 in the pack, it doesn't magically create an extra target for you. I mean, then you want to follow this up with Sundering if you have at least 2 pieces from the new set. And then you lightning bolt. Since you gain 24% mastery from the 2 piece, you really want that to empower your Primordial Wave lightning bolts, so they slap even more. And then you follow that with ice strikes into a frost shock slap, crash lightning, then rinse repeat-ish. Focus on generating maelstrom and spend it into frost shock slaps and watch packs melt. Freeze, they go boom. Now, there is a lot more to this build than its distant cousin, the Storm Cleave, which is a 3-button smash face to keyboard build that I love very much. I do recommend learning the Elementalist build as well, as it is an absolute beast in M+, especially for higher fort keys. And it's extremely valuable in M+, because you have such good funnel damage that you can burn down the big mobs so they die at the same time as all those pesky small mobs, whenever it's needed. But if you just wanna blast without thinking too much, then Storm might be a better fit. And I just so happen to have a guide for that as well. Isn't that shocking? Now, when you get to those pesky bosses, the rotation shifts a little bit. So the prio goes Feral Spirit on cooldown, Primordial Wave if Flame Shock is not up on the boss, Sundering to trigger the 2-piece bonus, Lava Lash if Hot Hand is active, Wind Fury Totem if it's not currently active, Lightning Bolt if you're at 5 or more stacks of Maelstrom and the Primordial Wave buff is up, Chain Lightning with the Crackling Thunder 4-piece active, our set bonus, and 5 or more stacks of Maelstrom. They do decent single target damage, but more importantly, they refund Maelstrom, which reduces Wolfie cooldown, and Wolf is a big damage increase. Lava Burst if at 5 or more stacks of Maelstrom, Lightning Bolt if you're at 10 stacks of Maelstrom, and Lava Burst is on cooldown, Primordial Wave. Lava Lash with 6 or more stacks of Ashen Catalyst, usually that kinda solves itself, as you will be weaving in Lava Lash constantly. Ice Strike, Frost Shock if you have Hailstorm stacks, Storm Strike, Lightning Bolt with 5 or more stacks of Maelstrom to generate Hailstorm, Crash Lightning, Flame Shock, Wind Fury if nothing else is available. The most important part here being that you prio Lava Lash a lot higher on single target, Lava Burst and Lightning Bolt instead of Chain Lightning, and if there's ever a boss with any form of adds, it's always good to try to combine Primordial Waves with the adds. Say the tree boss in Brackenhide, rather than using it only on the boss, spread Flame Shock to the adds and then slap away Lightning Bolts, getting all that juicy haste to really burst down the boss. So being clever with Primordial Wave can net you a lot of DPS and help overcome certain checkpoints if you will. Take last boss in Brackenhide or Vortex Pinnacle, using Primordial Waves to slap both the boss and totem helps to burst it down, even though for some reason the totem actually doesn't give us the haste bonus. Same thing with the Skyfall Nova add-on last boss in Vortex Pinnacle, although that one does give haste. The list goes on, but the more clever you are with Primordial Wave, the more it's gonna slap. Lastly, I recommend the add-on Hekili. It is a rotation helper add-on and it shows you what you should be pressing next, and it is very accurate. So it is incredibly helpful for players who are new to Enhancement to help put the rotation priority into play, especially the Elementalist rotation, as it is far more complex than the Storm one. I use it to this day. I might not be looking at it blindly 24/7, but it's almost always in the corner of my eye. And it helps free up some much needed brain space. Most of my brain is just says Storm Strike. And as far as stats go, Mastery, Haste, sim yourself. The Elementalist build tends to want Mastery over Haste, but you can't go wrong with both. And no, there's not a certain percentage breakpoint you need to get. Just stack Mastery and Haste. Sim yourself. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this build guide for the Elementalist M+ build. Frost Shock slapping has never felt better. Now let me know what y'all think of these guides. Any info you feel is missing, let me know. And if you really want to dig deep into everything Enchantment Shaman, I greatly recommend reading WordUp's Wowhead or Icy Vein Bible for Enhancement, as most of this is based off that, and he goes a lot more in-depth into, well, pretty much everything you could need to know. I also want to give a huge shout out to Leylana and Fabio from the Shaman Discord for their help with the script. You're so nice, thank you. And don't forget the usual stuff, comment, like, subscribe, and make sure to ring that notification bell. There are tons of guides coming out for 10.1, and it helps me a ton. And if you want to help support my work, do check out my Patreon. As a patron, you get access to the Stankie Discord. You can also get shoutouts in videos, coaching, among other things. Also, fastest way to get a hold of me if you want to pester me with questions. I do also stream progression and testing on Twitch, Stankie Gaming, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, around 19 European time. Feel free to hop on by and spam me with questions there as well. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.